Okay, so I was a little angry about having to quit my job because I'm like, why is it always, well, it's not always, but I was like, why? Those are just the thoughts that I was having, right? I'm like, why is it always women who have to sacrifice so much? And then the men get to do whatever they want. And I understand this is not for everybody because, some people have true partnerships and that's awesome. But I was just having like, a woe is me type moment. I was just being grumpy about the whole situation of me having to quit. But honestly, and I was like, oh, it'd be so nice to have like her partner. I wish my marriage worked out. I was having all these negative thoughts. And then I was like, girl, you would have never even had this job because he would have looked down on your little 2-hour job. He would have been mean about it. He would have been rude about it. And I know this for a fact because when I was working full time, I was working for in upper level college, and I loved my job. It was really great. However, when we purchased the house, I wanted to start paying down my credit cards. I had a $5,000 Capital One card that I was like, I really just want to pay this off. So I got a part-time job at Bath and Body Works. My Bath and Body Works position was just in the evenings. It was mainly restocking and changing the like the displays. I loved it. My manager was really cool. She would be like, hey, just grab what you need to grab. Like the little, I forgot what they're called, but you basically have a picture of what your display should look like. So she'd be like, put some headphones in or whatever and like do your thing. She was really, really cool. So since I wasn't working very many hours, I was making like $300 a month, which I was dumping into my Capital One card. I know $5,000, $300 isn't that much, but when you're making your regular payment and then doing a $300 payment, it really helps bring down the balance. One night he had called me and I went to the back and I'm like, yeah, what's up? And he's like, nothing. I just feel really bad that like you're working 2 jobs. And I'm like, I have no problem working 2 jobs. It's to help pay down my debt. It's totally fine. And he's like, no, I should be doing more as a man. He would always say the right things. And so I'm like, it's fine. I don't mind. It's my debt, and I really do enjoy working. I enjoy working. That's just who I am. It's not a big deal to me. It's just part of life, and there are worse things in life. So I watch my parents work their whole lives, so working is not a big deal for me. It was around November time, and that's when, you get more holiday hours and things like that, because displays were changing for like Halloween, Thanksgiving, and Christmas, and I was getting more hours, and his brother from Arizona came, and we were having a little gathering at the parents' house, and I was like, hey, I have to work tonight, like around 9, like, can you just tell them I have to leave? And he's like, no, you're quitting. And I was like, oh, come again? And he's like, you're quitting. I am not going to tell these people that my wife is working at Bath and Body Works. Hell no, you're not going. And I'm like, you're joking, right? And he's like, no, you're not going. So I had to basically quit that job because he was making it difficult for me to leave. Could I have still walked out? Sure, I could have. The consequences of walking out and going to work, I would have had anxiety in the pit of my stomach the whole time I was working, because I know when I get home, I am going to have hell to pay. So it wasn't that he like physically yelled at me and made me quit. It was what would happen afterwards if I didn't quit. It would be the silent treatment. He wouldn't take me anywhere. It was like a form of punishment, I guess. I didn't really see it while I was in it, and it sounds so stupid to talk about now, but this is what would happen. So I didn't go to work, and then I was like, what do I tell them? And I couldn't call them because he wouldn't let me leave to go outside to call them, and he knew what he was doing, right? Like, he knew that no call, no show, this is horrible. And so my boss was like, what is it that you want to do? Because you can't do that. And I was like, I have to quit. And I told her the situation. I quit with her in person. I told her what had happened, and she was like, you do realize that that's controlling behavior, right? And at that time, I was not going to hear anybody. I was not going to hear anybody. So I was like, okay, but I got to quit. I have to go. And she's like, you do know you're not eligible for rehire since you missed so many days, and then, you're quitting now. And I was like, that's okay. I've got to go. And so I left. So when I was when I was thinking like, man, I wouldn't even be in this position. I wouldn't even have to quit. I have this wonderful job that I really love at this elementary school. I wouldn't have even had the job to begin with because it would be so low level to him. So I quickly got over being angry, and having a pity party for myself. So it is what it is. I'm homeschooling again this year, and we're going to try again. Not try again. She'll go to school next year. When she starts 3rd grade, I am certain that I will be able to find another position. I just have to keep my eyes open. I have to stay diligent and, just do the legwork to get the job. So, which I'm going to do next year. But for this year now, I'm going to get over it. I'm going to homeschool. And I'm also homeschooling for a couple other reasons that I just don't want to talk. I'm homeschooling again this year. It is what it is. And I wouldn't have had that cool position anyways. So yeah.